Sports Radio, Mitch Barnhart, UK Athletic Director, joining us. Mitch, this has to have been one of the more difficult years you've had with all the stuff that's been going on, right?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we've had about, I would say, 10 years worth of work in college athletics. It's been jammed down the pipeline in about 6 to 10 months.
Okay.
And when I say that, not from just the institutional perspective, from the global perspective of what's gone on in college athletics, it's been a lot. We've had good leadership from a lot of folks, and a lot of folks are trying hard, but it's been a lot.
I mean, even for you personally, going back, it's 15 months ago, you had to hire a new basketball coach all the way through all that's happened. That's a lot. Okay, so I'm a legal dork. I'm also a political dork. So when all this stuff's been going on, I've been following it, and I will tell you, I'm a lawyer who did constitutional and labor law and like politics, and I have a hard time following.
Yeah.
How do you guys keep up with what's going on a day-to-day basis on all this?
Yeah, it's incredibly complicated. The challenges of governance structures. You've got an NCAA governance structure that is struggling. You've got the new Collegiate Sports Commission, which is brand new, which has no new pathways for us yet. They're trying to get rules in place and everything like that as they go. Then you've got Congress, the Senate, U.S. Senate, from the executive branch, got people weighing in and saying this is a pathway we need to go. And then you've got 4 conference commissioners. So there's a lot of folks in the middle of this.
Yeah, a lot of cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, it's complicated, as they say. Complex, complicated. I'm not sure what it is, but it's one of those.
Are there people in college sports, and you don't even have to say who they are, but are there people who are like trying to take the leadership on it?
Yes.
And do they have are most people in college sports on the same page, or is it all over the place?
Yeah, I think you clearly have the FBS.
Okay.
And the 4 autonomy conferences that are sort of, I would say, in the leadership position of what's going on in college sports. And for some, that may not be what they want to hear. It's a reality, I think. Commissioner Sankey, we're thankful in our league. We've got a dynamic leader in Greg. He's a dear friend. I trust him. He's incredibly smart. There's other commissioners that obviously are joining alongside, and they're having conversations. So I think that they're taking the forefront of coalescing between the athletic directors, move to the commissioners to the presidents, and the presidents to the legal. Now, I've been to D.C., I think, so my assistant was telling me 4 times in the last 10 months. We've walked the hallways and been around that and been on the phone. I mean, we've been on the phone a lot. And it's so they ask us to, we've got to stay in our lane, so to speak.
Yeah.
But there's also times where they want our opinion. What does it look like, boots on the ground, and what you're doing with the work? Because you can talk about it at one level, but actual implementation gets real different. When you take it to put it on a campus.
How it actually plays out.
Absolutely.
My read on it, tell me if I'm wrong. I read that all this is great. Court decisions, commission, blah, blah, blah. If it's going to hold up for sure when you get to those 9 justices on the Supreme Court, you're going to need a congressional law passed in the House and the Senate with 60 votes, which means bipartisan, and then it can stand up. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that's we're going to have to get to that spot for it to have to last a while.
Yeah.
What I'm hopeful we're not going to do is put us in a position where every 3 to 4 years we're changing the landscape again. We need some stability.
Yeah.
The waters are super choppy right now, and we need them to settle. And we need to get to our young people in our programs deserve that. They deserve to know the landscape that they're in. And frankly, as I mentioned earlier in the presser, we had 675 student athletes last year. I have 525 this year. We lost 150.
Oh, wow.
So and everyone doesn't really catch that until all of a sudden you look up and the baseball roster went from 42, 43 guys down to 34.
But they're all on scholarship now, right?
But they have more scholarship.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. All true. But
fewer people.
But fewer people. And I always wonder, at the end of the day, all of those that got displaced, did they land someplace?
Yeah.
Did they find a home? And we all know, at the end of the day, football and men's basketball stirs this whole thing. We get all that. But at the end of the day, I'm also responsible for that other 450 people.
Well, let's talk real quick about a couple of those things as it applies to UK. Do you feel like you're going to have to cut a sport?
At this juncture, we don't think so. We think we're in a really solid spot. I've gotten support from the university administration, and we feel good about that.
Okay.
And so we feel really comfortable. I walked into our locker rooms with our team meetings, and I feel really good that we can be stable for a good long time.
There's $20.6 million in revenue. I don't think I realized until I saw that you said it in there, but 2.6 of that is the scholarship, right? So really it's 18?
Yeah, so that is a mandate of the settlement. You have to take that off the top. If you add scholarships, any scholarships that you add have to come off that $20.5 million. And if you give the Alston Awards, that's another $2.5 million, which we are not doing the Alston Awards. We've replaced that with revenue share or scholarships.
What is the Alston Award?
The Alston Academic Awards from the NCAA from about 8 years ago. 8 years ago.
So you basically are playing with $18 million.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
There was a report that the SEC met and they wanted all schools to set the same amount of money, and the report was that Kentucky objected. Is that true?
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that is an institutional decision. I think that we ought to be able to make institutional decisions about how we spend our money. What is important for one school might not be as important for another school, and there's priorities in place. There was a school somewhere else in the country, I can't remember which school it was, and they said they were going to give every student a piece of the revenue share. Well, that's sort of helpful, but not really. If I'm giving somebody $500, but I could have given them a scholarship, I'd rather give them the scholarship. That's worth much more than the $500.
Yeah.
So we want to be thoughtful about what we do, and I think each institution has to make choices. What is important for one school may be football, and one school might be women's basketball, and there's certain schools that have got incredible priorities for baseball in our league.
And that makes a lot of sense to me, but then it becomes, okay, well, what do we do at this school?
Yeah.
You have said you want it to be flexible. In your mind, though, is there a part where you have to say, I'm going to have to choose?
Oh, no, yeah.
I mean, and how do you make that decision?
Yeah, we absolutely are going to have to make some roster choices, but I want to make sure we're in conversation with all of our coaches at that point. And they've been awesome. Let me repeat, incredible. I mean, that ability to sit down with both Marks and sit here and say, hey, this is where we are. Kenny Brooks in women's basketball, he's in the recruiting process. Mitch, what do we say? And, well, what do you need? Tell us what you need. Tell us, let's match Rob Mullins, who was my deputy a long, long time ago. I hesitate to say
you have a huge tree out there.
So Rob always had a great line, matching resources to expectations. So what are the expectations, and what are the resources we need to match to those? And so I think we've done a really, really good job of matching resources to expectations for our coaches, and they've been able to go out. It's clear it's been successful in recruiting. Our coaches have been able to bring in the rosters that they wanted to bring in, and as we look forward, they're all saying the same thing. We're in a good spot.
I suspect that you tell me this was another report. You tell me if it's true. It is very lots of every school wants to be good at football. You mentioned some really want women's basketball, some really want baseball. I can't imagine there's a school in the country that cares more about basketball than here.
Right.
So as you're sitting here looking at this football team and saying we're playing the hardest league in the country, but I got this basketball team that they want the fans want it to be the best team in the country. How do you do that with those two sports?
It's magic. Absolute magic.
What a great answer.
It's magic. No, it's a puzzle. It's a puzzle. We want to make sure that we're being thoughtful about that. As I told them in there, I said the settlement goes up 4% every year.
Yep.
And then so that $20.5 million, we think we're hopeful that that is in the litigation we can get to a spot where maybe we can say that $2.5 million was a one-time offset and we can get that added back. Because
it's the scholarships.
It's not new anymore.
Gotcha.
And so I don't know how that'll work, Matt. I don't know how that'll work. If it does, it does. If
Whatever
it does,
the amount of money is, Kentucky, you think can have it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So in some respects, whatever the money is, you're not worried about raising.
No, we're going to be involved.
Okay.
We're going to be at the maximum we can be.
Okay.
To support our programs and not be disadvantaged.
And that is something that I'm not going to say which schools. Some schools in the Power 4 conferences might have a hard time with.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And
do you worry about the Big East teams that don't have football,
Yeah.
the amount of money they could spend on basketball?
Certainly it's different, and that is a conversation that's a concern. You
Okay.
know, I mean, and as it relates to our basketball program, making sure that we're aligned in the proper ecosystem, so
Yeah.
to speak. Yes.
All right,
I want
so
to make sure that we're in that conversation.
I think it's only fair that I ask you my biggest concern about this, which is I'm a public information guy.
Right.
I heard that you said in there, and I understand your position, which is I don't want to tell you what we're doing because that gives the other people a competitive advantage. Help me understand how public institutions, not just you, okay, because I'm sure they're all going to take this position.
Yeah.
How do public institutions justify not telling people what they're spending the money on?
Yeah, so for part of that, part of that is in terms of a student FERPA perspective, we want to be able to protect students' rights.
Just sport by sport.
So, yeah, and again, that's it will be fluid from moment to moment. It could change from moment to moment, and so it's. I think that there's a competitive piece for us, and then. Student rights piece for us, and we can argue it all day long.
Leave aside the student rights piece. I don't care.
I get people who want to know.
But let me just make my case. I'm not talking player by player. I don't think it. I don't know if the public should know what Alex Safari makes. Right. But does the SEC or any school justify not letting fans know which program they're spending money on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure the legal pieces and all that. I don't. Having said that, I just know that from a competitive experience.
So it's competitive
for us. Absolutely, it's competitive. Okay. Absolutely, it's competitive.
If all the schools come together and say we're going to release it, are you cool with that? Well, at least you're honest about it. I appreciate that. You know what? Even when I disagree, I respect people that are upfront and honest. So I can take that. Last thing. A lot of fans, and I do my best to explain it, a lot of fans who just love Kentucky sports, right? I love Kentucky sports. College sports matter to me. Look at this and go, is this all going to survive? Yeah. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I'd say that is certainly, when you say all of it, I mean all of it. Not just football, not just, I would argue, and not at the level, I get it. And so don't walk out of here and say he's delusional. Many have said that. When you walked in and we were throwing the final pitch to get to the College World Series, that was as emotional moment for a lot of Kentucky fans as it was for some of the things we've done here. And so my point, when Sidney McLaughlin is running away with gold medals, that's as emotional for a lot of our fans as a lot of things. When I could go down the list. My point in all that is I want it to all survive, Matt. But can football and men's basketball, there has to be a pathway. We have got to find a way to ensure there's a pathway. It's too important for us as an institution. It's too important for us as a community. What it means to this community, we just got some economic impact reports from, supposedly, we're trying to verify all that stuff of what the second round of the men's basketball tournament was when we were here.
Trust me. Somebody who owns a restaurant, I can tell you. But also the state. I was down in London after the tornado.
Yeah.
This stuff matters to people.
It does.
It just does.
It does. And so we've got to find a way to ensure, if you weren't in there, but I told the story of the couple in South Carolina that my wife and I befriended a little bit, and they didn't know anything about the litigation. They had no idea what was going on in the world of college athletics, but they did know that we were playing Duke next Tuesday night. It was really, really important.
Yeah.
And so I say that because our fans are so special, and this community is special, and between the Keeneland and the horse racing and the Bourbon Trail and what we offer in tourism, and we're a part of that piece for this community and the jobs it creates and the things that it does. We've got to be strong for that. We've got to be strong for what we do at Kentucky. We think we're a really good front porch for the university, and we want to make sure that when people walk in the door, it's painted well, it looks great on the outside, and we lead them in something that's really, really cool. So it's important from a lot of fronts, not the least of which just the emotional well-being of our fans.
Yeah.
I want them to walk out and going, you know what, we are Kentucky and we're special.
It brings pride to the state.
Absolutely.
It brings pride to people that need it, and I respect that.